All right, hello. Welcome to today's trade recap. Let's dig in. So, first things first, we got Forex Factory. So we had no severe impact news coming out today, apart from medium impact coming in at 8:30, right? ESMI, right? Other than that, no news. Okay. So let's have a look at the daily, right? To start off. So let's actually select the bar. Let's cut out today's candle. So ignoring today's candle, right? From a further view, we can see that we are still inside of the consolidation. Okay, we're still inside of it, aren't we? Yes, we are. Okay. So buyers and sellers are getting a fair price due to obviously they're in this balance range. Buyers and sellers are getting their prices, they're happy, right? Everyone's happy. Eventually, price will move out of this range, right? Give it be the low, which is more likely to happen, right? Take out the lows first before we see continuing higher. And we kind of have to remember too that NQ and ES are ETFs, right? So they are gonna produce positive yields on the year, right? Most of the time, most of the time. Therefore, it makes sense for them to kind of move lower first before presenting higher prices, right? But that's obviously relevant to present time. So when we zoom in on both of these pairs, let's actually zoom in. We see we have the bearish rally gap still intact, right? It's still not been tapped in. Still yet to be tapped in. Okay. We also see that NQ has swept the previous day's low, right? And ES has made relative equal lows, which was made at the time, but obviously, let's actually just do the one. Let's skip forward. Okay. So we can see price initially first made equal lows. Okay. Let me just quickly show you that. Right. See, it made equal lows. Okay. Okay. If I need to move past it. This could be a sign for bullish price action, which I had originally. Okay, we have an indecisive candle from yesterday as it failed to close below the previous day's candle, right? You see, failed to close below. So what's the next likely draw? Up here, right? Ideally, they look for today in this sort of market, right, as longs, right, back into internal liquidity. Okay, we didn't take any external liquidity, right? So maybe what we actually do is we take external and then we move back into an internal, right? Okay, so if we see price displaced lower, then obviously the closest draw will be the external range rather than the internal range. Once again, we must remember that the market moves from internal to external range of liquidity and vice versa. So it will move from a low to rebalance, from the rebalance to a high or a low, right? And it will just keep doing that, right? It will repeat. Yeah, so on the 4 hour, check the 4 hour. Let me actually just select the bar and where were we? I'm gonna say we were right here. Next that one. So we can see on the 4 hour, zooming out a little bit. On the 4 hour, if we draw a fib from the low, from high to the low, we can see that we're in a discount, right? We can see they're in a deep discount relative to last week's trading range on both assets, right? Just looking at this one, you can tell this one's also going to be at a discount. We also reached a bullish rally gap. Let me just quickly draw it out for you lot so you guys can actually see what's going on. So this is the bullish rally gap. Okay. This is the bullish rally gap, right? And price actually respects it. So let's quickly just it's not very helpful. Not very helpful. Okay, cheers. I'm a dumbass. So price actually dumps through it first. Just ignore this for now. You'll see what I mean. Yeah. So reach into the bullish area from last week's range and are hovering near it, like you're respecting it. Okay. Could be that institutions are lingering around trying to gather as many cheap prices as possible within this area before rallying on higher. Okay. As well as take advantage of an imbalanced region to then push for high prices. Right. So the same thing. We still have the 4 hour bearish gap on both assets, right? That are still yet to be filled. Obviously blended with the daily for rally gap, right? NQ came into the 4 hour a little bit, right? but ES hasn't, right? It's not coming to it at all, right? So these points are very important to me, right? I'm looking for these to be hit, okay? Now on the 1 hour, zoom into the 1 hour. If we look at the 1 hour, let's just move back a little bit. Yeah. On the hour, we have been respecting bearish for value gaps, right? Respecting them, coming in, moving lower, respecting, here, respecting. We're respecting all the bearish for value gaps, right? But that's, if we see this most recent for value gap get respected, which was this one here, it could be ideal to take shorts, right? The higher time frame is looking to reach back into that daily fair value gap. However, price may not want to do that yet. Why? Because we've not hit an external range of liquidity. Okay. We also do have those equal lows on the S that price we want to target at that. It was at that relative time, right? Now, looking back at the daily chart, right? We did not break through this low either, right? So, bang, we didn't break through. So, and obviously, this was quite indecisive, right? It was a down close, so what could we possibly expect? A continuation, right? We could expect a continuation on today's candle to traverse lower. These are the two outcomes for the day, given the state of the analysis, okay? So, going to the 15-minute, and we can see, right, midnight open, we swept the previous day's low, okay? So previous day's low is here, I think. Nope. Where's previous day's low? It looked way cleaner on the, I think this is what I meant by previous day's low, but obviously a bit of an exaggeration. But even here, right, previous day's low. So we sweep it, okay? London opens and we see a rally, right? So this is the London session, that little dark candle, dark box, and we can see price rallies, right? Rallies into what? A key level, right? Which is the hourly for value gap, right? And it respects it, okay? Respects it and travels lower, okay? At midnight opening price, we move lower first, okay? We move lower first before continuing higher, right? That's ideal for a bullish scenario, okay? Looking closely into the price from midnight onwards. So let's actually just go here, right? And zoom in. Let's quickly cut it to just before London finishes. If we look closely, right, we have some form of accumulation, right? We have accumulation here. London rallies into an hourly gap, right? Hourly bearish gap taking out these highs, right? If we see price getting respected, it's likely we have a continuation and you're getting lower, okay? London's move could be a manipulation, right, or reversal higher, okay? Taking out accumulation highs and reaching into the key level before continuation lower on New York, okay? We also see price respect a bullish 15-minute gap right here, right? Into that 1 hour gap, okay? For clear information, all we can really do is wait on price action, right? Same thing here, price respect it and moves a little bit higher. Back on the hourly. Yeah, so this is the high that got, this is the low that got swept, right? This is Friday's low, right? See a sweep on it? And here we did not see a sweep on it at that current moment in time, right? We had a SMT, okay? And we have an SMT. We have an hourly gap that formed on London during London. So that's actually just, let's go on the hourly. Where's the hourly gap? Here's the hourly gap, right? So we have an hourly gap on ES, okay? If prices places through with volume, we can see shorts as an ideal opportunity for this day, taking into account that London reached into the key level, the 1 hour bearish gap. Well, see, as I was saying, I'm just waiting here for a sell. I'm just waiting for New York AM to open, and I'm not touching anything. I'm not touching anything. I'm staying disciplined. Okay. It looks like London is actually going to respect it here, so we see price actually reacts off of it. Okay. I'm trying to understand if that short-term low that got taken out formed a change in the state delivery. So here, and if there's a change in the state delivery, right? Ideally, it kind of is, isn't it? Price on ES stabbed back into the change in the state delivery order block, right? Right here. See, change in the state delivery, right? Because of the SMT. So an SMT, change in the state delivery, price comes back into this order block, right? On the hourly, okay? So It's very strong, very strong draw, right? There. Okay. Once again, just remaining patient. Obviously, I'm all for adaptation, right? I'm seeing go for shorts, we could go for longs. It's all over the place a little bit here, right? Um, we see price actually it invalidates it, right? So it actually move lower, okay? Reinforcing bearish price action, right? As initially stated, okay? We are close to taking out the previous day low on ES, right? Very close, okay? Very close. This looks like a London reverse New York continuation to the downside to me, right? This is what I was thinking at the current moment in time. Now, if we go to the 50-minute, we can see that uh, right, price takes it out, right? Price takes it out on both assets, okay? So we see the London low actually getting swept pre-New York AM, right? Both assets have taken out London lows as well as midnight and previous day lows, right? This could be a long setup if there is a change in the state of delivery right here, okay? Now, obviously, looking now, let's actually look at it here. Just look at the change in the state of delivery, right? What happens? Just wait. Let's just wait. Let's just wait. Hold on. Don't know why it doesn't want to show it. It's edging it. So Loki, I mean, to be fair here, this is our change of state delivery, isn't it? I really wanted to take a long here, right? I really wanted to enter, but it was before 8:30, right? And my trading rules say no trading, right? And I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And did I miss a move? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. Like, well, I'm not gonna sit here and cry over it. It's gonna happen, right? Um, so on NQ, we can see that the change of state delivery is actually located here. So I waited on that, right, for safety purposes. My target would have been this area here, okay? So that invalidated the 5-minute entry, right, which is completely fair. And like I said, it didn't even matter because I stuck to my rules, right? I stuck to my rules. I'm not trading until New York AM opens, right? So given that there's two outcomes, so London reversal, so London, let me actually just get the drawing tool out. So London hits here, and then we see some sort of reversal, right? So this is what the hell? So this is London reversal, New York retracement, continuation. Okay. Same thing on here, right? That was the thought, or we get New York manipulation, very on higher, or okay, this was the other thing. You see price do this and then move lower, right? Targeting this external range low, okay? So it looks like NQ. Pay attention to NQ, let's actually see what happens. Right, we close above the change in the state delivery, right? So this is now New York open, and we can see we have a right like that, some madness. Okay. ES does the same thing, right? So market opens. So market opens and runs past the London highs on ES, right? NQ might be forming an S&T, it does not, it's not running through, okay? If that happens and we get a change in the state of delivery lower, we can look for shorts, right? As of the way price is moving right now, we might have a 1 hour change in the state of delivery to the upside, right? So I was thinking here, getting swept. If we reach through here, we're looking for a change in the state of delivery to the upside, okay? So I was very wary of that, right? Because high time frame holds more power. So, like I said, I was all ready for adaptation. I was ready, right? Because the market was doing a bit of a madness, wasn't it? Okay. So we get a crazy sweep of London highs visible in the 15-minute, right? Very visible. Yeah. as well as pre-New York AM highs, right? So this one here. So London and pre-New York AM, right? Price is the exact same thing on both assets, okay? I'm waiting for a 5-minute change in the state delivery lower, right? So let's look at the 5-minute. This was the 5-minute change in the state delivery, right? Price is continuing lower, therefore I'm staying safe and waiting for a 15-minute, right? So I actually move back into 15-minute. I'm not right. This is a 15-minute change in state of delivery, right? Let me actually pull up the journal because I actually didn't get to take a trade thanks to TradingView. So here, let's just look at every single picture. So we see change in state delivery, right? This is a very strong one, and we have a swing and a broken. Okay, so on the 15-minute, we'll see change in state delivery gets confirmed, right? So now I'm in the 3-minute, and this was the outlook on the trade, right? We have the 5-minute displacement leg, right? We have equilibrium, price runs into here, and I was expecting a decline all the way into the external lows, right? So TradingView fucks up and something the paper trading system just completely crashes on the day, right? It is what it is. I wasn't bothered. So we get entered in here, right? Exactly what we wanted. I'm gonna be in this trade, but trading we have some issue. Paper trading, which is a bit annoying on the right side. That's the entry on the right side, right? I would take the trade on the right. Why? Because ES still has some room to move, right? We see how we've practically filled it in on NQ, but ES still has some area to maneuver, right? So you want to ideally take your entries on this asset. Why? Because if you put your stop loss, say here, because like your gap is much smaller, right? ES might continue higher to fill it in, and so might NQ because they're in tandem and you get stopped out, right? That's the last thing you want because that's such a petty stop out and it's just it get really annoying, right? So that's just what I'm saying here. Okay. So now I'm going to imagine as if we are in this trader market areas where I take partials and move my stop loss. So this trade would be a 1% on 11 contracts. So if the picture wants to pull up, okay, not necessary. Right, so what would happen? As soon as the swing low gets broken, 6 contracts will get taken off, right? So pretty much half of my position. Stop loss will get moved to either here or here. Ideally, realistically, if I was to take this trade, I'd move it up here, right? Into the intermediate high. Now, at this point where I see price reversing, and if I saw that down close candle not being respected, I'd actually move my stop loss to break even, right? Why? To just mitigate any chances of loss. And that's exactly what happens, right? Price actually ends up just slapping through the lows and continuing higher. Okay. I'm tempted to take a long into the daily fair value gap, right? However, looking at the market, it seems to be a seek and destroy kind of market profile, right? So sweep out London highs and lows without any clear direction. So let's actually have a look at it. We can see what time frame we are. What time frame are we on? Give me a second. 15-minute. Yep, cool. So let's just skip forward a little bit. We can see like we took out London lows, right? And then we took out London highs, and we did the same. We took out New York AM lows. It's choppy, isn't it? Overall, it's quite choppy. Like even on the 5-minute, we can see it's just chopped, right? Now, I was thinking about taking another entry, right? Which I think was this one. I'm pretty sure it was this one. So let's actually have a look. So what happens is we get a sweep somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So we sweep this low, and then we get a change in the state of delivery, right? Very quickly. Bang, 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 bang. There we go. Change in the state of delivery. And then price actually rallies on a little bit higher. And then that's our range, right? This is our range. Equilibrium's here, right? Change in the state of delivery on the 15-minute, right? It's very strong. And then a 5-minute displacement leg higher. We have a swing low broken, okay? And then I'm looking for an entry within a discount. Okay, stop loss was at this low here. Why? Because I don't really expect price to come any lower, right? I did not take this trade. It was just a draft, right? So let's actually see what I wrote. So given my simming buff, I've lowered the risk on this trade to 0.5%, right? We have a change in the state delivery on the 15-minute as well as a displacement through the hourly bearish gap, right? Entries on the 3-minute bullish gap within the discount range off of the 5-minute displacement leg. Target is at daily fair value gap with a couple points into the gap. So we see here 0.5 of the equilibrium, minus 0.5, right? I might let a runner go all the way through the daily fair value gap, right? Because price might actually want to do that, but it completely, okay, depending on how this market moves, right? Like I said, I have some suspicions that this is a seek and destroy type of market profile today. So I'm staying very wary and only risking 0.5% hypothetically. And at the end, I just say, you know what? I've changed my mind. I'm not going to take a trade, right? We had that trade, that trading view messed up, and that's okay, right? I'll recap what the market has done in the afternoon and want to do the trade recap for today. So let's actually leave the market replay, leave. And we can see I would have gotten tapped in perfectly, and we had a little bit of runner, but now price, I think, is either correcting. Price is probably going to correct itself, yeah. Just before hitting buy side liquidity, and either way, look at the time, right? Market closes in literally about an hour, so I don't really expect a lot of movement unless it's very forced. Okay, and I'm completely fine with that. I'm not fussed. I'm literally not fussed whatsoever. Right, so the lessons learned from today's session. First trade, the read on the overall bias was correct today. Then I had a manipulation higher into a 1-hour bearish gap, as well as taking out a short-term high from Asia session. Okay, so let's actually have a look. It's the Asia session high. Is it? It is, yeah. So here, if we go into the 15-minute, you can see that there is actually a high. Yeah, right here. So Asia session taken out, and then manipulates higher into the hourly gap, and we see a delivery lower. A little bit of a delivery in London, right? You could have taken a trade somewhere here, right? Yoke opens, and obviously we get the weird action, okay? I was expecting York to continue lower, and it partly did so. Okay, partly did so. Taking out London session lows as well as previous day lows, okay? I remained very composed and patient, not rushing any sort of trade, and stuck to my plan, showing growth, right? I didn't take the 830 trade. I didn't take this trade, which is good. Now, obviously, on the second trade idea, I decided to not take the entry because of an unclear look on buyers post New York AM, right? Seek and destroy, so it looks like. Zooming out, it looks as though New York AM took out both ranges of London, right? As I was saying, providing no perfectly clear price movement, okay? On top of that, that trade would go against what the initial market bias I had was, right? Taking a long position, okay, onto the daily fair value gap, right? On a short viewed day, right? We'll be taking a long on a short viewed day. Why? Because we had London manipulation higher, and I wanted to see prices actually move lower, right? Once again, I was adapting, but ideally it was to see prices move lower. This is a very strong draw, but we've not taken external liquidity out yet, okay? I was open to interpretation always, but when I notice a seek and destroy like market profile, like here, I'd rather sit on my hands and not take a trade in such a market condition, right? Because it's dangerous. It's dangerous work. Okay. I think the bias analysis was strong today as well as my psychology. I remember I wanted to take a trade prior to New York AM opening, and I'm glad I did not, regardless of what the outcome would be. Right? We would have had a successful trade. Okay. However, fussed. I'm literally not fussed about it. Okay. And it shows discipline to my trading rules, right? Following those things can be a difficult thing to do, and I'm happy I did so, right? So let's hope tomorrow generates us some nicer price action, right? Monday, Tuesday have been quite slow. Nothing to actually provide me with an entry, and that's completely fine. That's completely fine. But yeah, what I'm actually gonna do is after this trade recap gets uploaded, I'm gonna do back testing and I'll upload another video because I want to. I want to back test, right? So yeah, that's that. I hope you guys learned something from this. And I will see you lot tomorrow, as always. Take care. Bye bye.